What's up, YouTube? Andy from the Sports Card Flip Game, here with the latest on how to get you plugged into all things sports cards. In today's video, we are going to be discussing SGC grading. We're going to be talking about it as an alternative to PSA and Beckett, especially in these times where both PSA and Beckett aren't operating, or are at least operating at a very small reduced window. SGC has kind of come up to take some market share from those two companies. We're going to really look and evaluate the viability of their grading service and figure out if it's a good idea for you too. So let's go ahead and get into today's video. Right, I've been listening and consuming content just like you have in this time of quarantine to be able to get my mind away from other things that are going on in society. And one of the things that have come up has been a lot of videos around SGC. And I'm thinking about two videos in particular. One is from Filmington, who does a lot of baseball content and does a lot of speculative sort of look into the sports card market as a whole and looks at it very much from an investing perspective. He certainly got me thinking first a lot about SGC as a viable third alternative, and especially when we're talking about market competition, being able to introduce a new company into the sports card grading market beyond PSA and Beckett. And the second one is actually PSA Collector talking about submitting his cards to SGC as an alternative to PSA, which really got me thinking too, okay, if someone who's kind of in on the ground level like PSA Collector is doing that as well, I need to be thinking about it as a third alternative. And the more I've done my research and looked into it, I really do think it's a good viable option in terms of sports card grading. They've been around for 20 years, so when we're thinking about why SGC is a good alternative, right, there's really two differentiators that come to mind, especially right now. One is they're known for their customer service, right? So looking at being able to provide a seamless user experience to go in and get your cards graded. I've looked at their website, I've gone through the actual process of finding the cards, actually getting them ready to pay and all that sort of stuff. It's really pretty simple, pretty user-friendly. They've got a slick website. Certainly go check it out. It's gosgc.com. And the second part that I think is critically important right now is they're toting a very quick turnaround time. Now, depending on how you look at PSA and Beckett right now, having these massive warehouses full of cards that we've sent in and, 3-month wait times, 6-month wait times, all that sort of stuff, SGC is sort of bucking the trend and they're saying, let's do it a lot quicker. And they're capitalizing on the fact that these two companies aren't open right at the moment, or at least operating at a very reduced capacity to say, you know what? We're going to get cards back around to you in 2 or 3 weeks. And I've seen videos from other content creators, other YouTubers, other folks who do breaks, things like that, sports card shop owners who've said, hey, we're going to get cards back around and graded in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And where that really comes into mind is not when you're looking at something that you're going to buy and hold, right? So certainly a Rangers collector, I've got this Joey Gallo card. I'm going to hang on to this for a long time. Something like this, a Aroldis Chapman card, was probably done as a prospect and graded back then. I've had this for a little while, bought it off a friend, no big deal, right? But when we're looking at why you're going to get cards graded, especially in a very quick and efficient turnaround time, in my mind, there are a couple different reasons why you do that. And first is looking at speculating on the new season. So baseball's coming up. This is one where I say, you know what? It's good to get some cards graded because hopefully we'll have a season, and to be able to get those cards graded and ready to be flipped is a really important thing. So being able to look at these cards, and these are ones that I've pulled or talked about buying for a quick flip, I need to go ahead and get them graded so that I can maximize that return on them. And then finally, right, like I want to get these cards protected. I want to get them ready and prepped so that they're good to go. There's no worry that my investment is going to be tanked. So when we look at SGC in the market, kind of the final piece of the puzzle is they've got some neat things that they're doing in terms of their evaluation services, their grading, very similar to what Beckett does when they have a 9.5, right? So they've got that tweener grade. SGC does the same thing, whereas PSA only has 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 whole numbers. And where that comes into play is with what's called a tweener, right? So I've got this Luka card. It's an optic shock. It's a PSA 9. This would be one that I might evaluate for SGC, because if I can bump it up even just a half grade to a 9.5, and I've looked at this and it looks solid, right? That tweener grade, a 9.5 SGC has actually been outperforming PSA 9s in the marketplace. So that little bump up is worth it from a regrading and kind of the capital outlay and labor perspective to get that regraded. So that's one to really look at. And then here's, I think, kind of the hidden gem in the market is something like optic basketball. Came out earlier in the year before we went into quarantine. Cards like this Jaw have not really had a lot of grading. There are not a lot of companies, PSA, Beckett, SGC, there are not a lot of graded examples out in the marketplace. So if you can be that first mover and have this card graded, even if it's by a supposed lesser company, you can command a little bit of a premium on this card. So that's one that I'm going to take a look at as well. Now, of course, there are downsides to this. And when you're looking at SGC, you need to be careful, right, that you're not going to entirely grade your entire collection with one company, or, right, like if you do that, you just need to be careful that the returns on that may not yield exactly what you're looking for. So what I'm doing is really kind of trying to invest in a couple of specific cards, and what I'm looking at are baseball cards, right? Like I'm kind of actually trying to scale down my baseball collection, so getting cards like this Gavin Lux graded and ready to flip are something that I'm looking to do, because I want to invest more in basketball. And so then SGC becomes the perfect avenue for that. So that's a couple of ideas on kind of where things are at with SGC. Let me know down in the comments below if you like or dislike what I'm saying. Would love to hear from you in the comments. I'm going to show you in my next video what I've actually prepped and got ready to send off to SGC. I've actually got my semi-rigids here. I got these before we went into quarantine. Don't have any cards in lockdown in the screw down cases like this Barry Bonds that I'm going to be sending. I've got all modern cards and things like that. But that's going to do it for today's video. Again, if you did like the content, go ahead and give us a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm putting out content twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, to help get you into the latest and help grow your knowledge about the hobby. So until next time, keep your flip game strong.